Hello, this video is about a branch of transfusion medicine, and most of our colleagues are still unaware of what the branch is and what it includes, what are the future options of the branch, and so on. So, this video will be helpful to know about what the branch deals with and where is the PG courses available for this branch and what are the future job opportunities of this branch, and in detail, or you can call it as a briefly, we'll be seeing about what the branch is. It is actually not a non-clinical branch nor a clinical branch. It is something which deals with the non-clinical aspects of the patients. It is not that you will be sitting in the laboratory and working up with the samples. You will also have to interact with the patients, deal with their diagnosis, deal with their therapy, and so on. And there are several institutes available for learning, and now the MD course of transfusion medicine has been introduced in India, and several state colleges have been allotted seats in both DNB and NEET exams, and as usual, central institutes like AIIMS, JIPMER, PGI also have this course. This is actually a 3-year course like any other course. The degree, they call it as MD Transfusion Medicine and Immunohematology. And there are several state institutes also having this branch, and even in this academic year of 2020 to 21, it has been newly introduced in some state colleges. But however, not all the facilities and procedures are being done in the state colleges, but it is very worth to study in central institutes, because it is like dealing with some hi-fi procedures or hi-fi equipments. So only if you have a platform of these exposures, you will be useful in learning those things rather than reading them in books. So in all the peripheral AIIMS and in our AIIMS New Delhi, we have the MD transfusion medicine seat with 1 or 2 seats per year according to the proforma, as you can see in their website. And also in JIPMER, the transfusion medicine is a separate department, 3-story building department, where they are doing almost all the procedures. And CMC Vellore, they are actually good enough to do all the hi-fi, the utmost level hi-fi procedures still being done in India till now. And PGI Chandigarh, it is the oldest institute to have this PG course in India, and they also have all the procedures being done under transfusion medicine in India till now. Now in this video we'll be briefly looking on to about the transfusion medicine department we already saw, then the institutes also we saw, then content of the branch. The seats are being added up in the exams and the seat prospectus, but still people do not know what the branch will be and what we'll be learning the whole 3 years, and it is still a new term to all the medical colleagues. And since we are also not posted in our CRRA period, I mean the internship period in the transfusion medicine or blood banks, we do not know what is happening in the transfusion part of the hospital. And also we'll be seeing about some books and journals which will be helpful for reading something about transfusion. And also we'll be looking on to some job opportunities both in India and abroad, and the future study options available in the branch, and how the specialty will or is predicted to develop in future. See, this is all the content of the branch. It actually is a modern blood bank. It is actually a modern blood banking. Sorry for that. And mainly the procedures it deals with is immunohematology part. Whatever the institute is, you will be learning this for sure, because this is the basics of transfusion medicine. Here you will be learning about some blood grouping systems, both major and minor. We all will be aware of the major group systems like A, B and O, and also RH system, but I don't think we'll all have dealt with the minor blood group systems like Duffy, Kell, Louis, Kidd and so on. There are more than 100 minor blood group systems which you won't believe has been discovered till now. And also we transfusion medicine will be the branch dealing with the Coombs test, which you all know that it will be useful in differentiating the kind of anemias like autoimmune hemolytic anemias, whether it is a warm type or it is a cold type or mixed type, or any other alloantibodies are present, and so on. And also we'll be studying about the pre-transfusion testings. As you all know, like a cross match, that is the minor cross match methods, major cross match methods and all. And also the testing of various transfusion transmissible infections like hepatitis, HIV and so on. And also the another one thing is that antibody screening and antibody identification. It is like it is happening for a long time, but we are not aware of. I don't think all the medical students are aware of this antibody screening and identification, but we know that they exist, like in some multiple transfusion patients like thalassemia, sickle cell anemia, or multigravida, or like the blood leukemia patients and so on. They are actually having multiple exposure to multiple antigens, and so they will be having some antibodies in their system being circulating. It is not a big issue until or unless it causes any hemolysis features. But we all know that our medical era is being developed day by day for a very, very comfortable and safe medical procedures, and so this antibody screening and identification is very useful in such patients who will or who are on continuous transfusion throughout their life. And the well-known C's is that RH negative pregnancy isoimmunization, and that also we will be like screening for the anti-D antibody in the circulation, and we'll be planning the sensitization of the mother according to the protocol. And another one thing is the immunogenetics. It deals with the genetics of the blood group system. Like some blood group systems are specifically associated with some diseases, and so it will be helpful in predicting the incidence of the disease in an individual. And also if there is any rare mutation in the blood group genetics, it can also lead to minor blood group system, which it will be helpful to identify a specific donor to recipient combination. Like if a patient is having some rare blood group system in advance, like before LSES or before some major surgery, it will be very difficult to search a blood for that patient. So it will be this genetics will be helpful to identify which donor is most suitable for them to help in donating the blood or it's any of its components. These and all are actually a high-fi procedures as of now, but in future you can expect this being a major branch. And then we have the molecular biology, which deals with the DNA cloning of like some antibody production factors like factor 8, factor 13 productions. Specifically, you can clone the DNA of a patient or a patient to develop the antibody or to develop only the factor 8 to being transfused to the recipient. And also there is a gene therapy available for various genetic diseases, which also comes under the molecular biology. And also we can study of HLA typing, like in the transplantations of organs, the HLA antigen detection and the HLA matching of how much percentage it is matching with the recipient and all, it also is being done in transfusion medicine department. And another one main and upcoming subspecialty of transfusion medicine is apheresis. Apheresis is nothing but separating only a desired component from the donor. Like in previous days we would have heard of a whole blood being bleed from the donor and being transfused as such to the recipient, but nowadays it is like, if you want PRBC, the donor can donate only PRBC. If you want platelet, the donor can donate only the platelet. That is what this apheresis does. Like in platelet pheresis, we can take only the platelets from the donor. You can ask, why to waste so much of energy and resources and manpower in like separating only the specific components? But the efficiency difference is very much greater in platelet pheresis than the actual platelet which we are getting from the donor. Like you have to transfuse for an adult, average adult, you have to transfuse 4 units of different donors to achieve a good increase in the platelet count of the recipient. For example, if you have to increase 1,000 unit, you'll have to transfuse 4 units of the donors. But in apheresis platelets, you can have a good increase with that same or even more than the desired platelet count, with even just only 1 unit of platelet pheresis. So you are reducing the exposure of the patient to the different donor antigens. This is what happens. And also we have granulocytopheresis, like it is done in case of some cases which are even resistant to the higher antibiotics, some infections, septic patients who are all unresponsive to antibiotics. You can transfuse the granulocytes, that is actually the neutrophils you are giving the patient. And there are case studies and evidences showing much improvement in granulocytopheresis. And also you have RBC exchange being done in sickle cell crisis patients. And the hot topic is the COVID-19 now, and you all know that the convalescent plasma therapy has been started in several patients, and also positive responses are being encountered all over the country. And this convalescent plasma donation is even possible with this apheresis. Actually, this is the only way in which we are taking the plasma, only the plasma from the donors. And we have the transfusion therapy, which deals with whom to be transfused, whom not to be transfused, how much to be transfused, what is the second or third option of transfusion or best match in case of any crisis. Like in this COVID situation, it is not possible to get all A to A or B to B transfusions. In this case, you will have to know the hierarchy of choosing what is the next option available for transfusion, especially in exchange transfusions or neonatal transfusions and so on. This all you will be dealing with in the transfusion therapy. And in the cellular therapy, it is dealing with hematopoietic stem cell transplantation. This is the future of transfusion medicine, I should say, because this stem cells, you know that they are having a lot of indications, lot of applications. It is almost, you can apply it in almost all the diseases, I would say. But the greatest limitation now is that its cost, because even one transplant now it is costing about 35 to 45 lakhs per transplantation, I think. And it is not done in any institute still now, but Tata Mumbai and Tata Kolkata have done 2 or 3 cases, I suppose. but it will be the future of transfusion medicine, because there are very less people who do this stem cell harvest and transplantation and all the complications and dealing with this subspecialty. So there is, as of now, there is a great demand worldwide for stem cell therapy therapists. And clinical hematology, it is dealing with all the leukemias, all types of anemias, all this hematology related issues like hemolysis in liver disease patients, in renal disease patients. All the opinions about the transfusion and all will be dealt with in this part. And also another one thing is the blood center operation. Blood center is nothing but the blood bank. Now the Drugs and Cosmetics Act actually say to tell it as blood center, not blood bank. So blood center operation will be dealt in transfusion medicine. It is like you can know what are the procedures to set up your own blood bank, what are the legal issues, what are the quality control documents you have to have, and what all the equipment maintenance, the frequency of equipment maintenance, and all the records what you have to mention, all the criterias which you have to have for a blood bank, everything you will be learning in this transfusion medicine. And also the tissue banking is not much evolved now, but it is a part of transfusion medicine, in that we like preserve the blood, bones, ligaments, heart walls, cornea, eyes, for long term preservation, I suppose. Long term preservation of these things, and the stem cell which we talked about earlier, all this thing will be dealt in this tissue banking. uh, Tissue banking, it also has some is it to have some fellowships and all, because it also has a long term application. That's why it is also a growing branch of transfusion medicine, I should say. And among all these which we have discussed now, the main things which are available in most of the institutes is the immunohematology part and the transfusion therapy part. Not everything, but some of them. And also this things like this molecular biology, HLA typing, cellular therapy, and tissue banking are high five materials, and it requires very costly imported machines and instruments for implementation, and it is available in central institutes like PGI, then CMC Vellore. CMC Vellore is having almost all the facilities in transfusion medicine which is available as of now in India. CMC Vellore and AIIMS New Delhi, all these institutes have almost all of these options which we have discussed, and also some renowned private institutes like Tata Medical Center in Mumbai and Kolkata, and Apollo of Mumbai and New Delhi also have these options. And another one institute I should say is SGPGI Lucknow, where they also do all these things in transfusion medicine. And looking about the various forums of transfusion medicine family are ISTM, that is Indian Society of Transfusion Medicine, which includes all the senior citizens of transfusion medicine, and young professional forum, which includes all the students and the consultants of transfusion medicine in India. There is an ISBT, that is International Society of Blood Transfusion, including all the specialists from all over the world. And there are various webinars and national workshops being conducted by transfusion medicine in every year. And people can stay tuned in these to get updated in what and all new inventions are being made. And as you all know, it is a growing field, so there are a lot of lack of knowledge which has to be explored. And the people who are interested in research side, like statistics and those research related topics, they have a very good platform in transfusion medicine, because it is yet to be explored a lot. And all the central institutes, they provide you a very good background to know what you have to do in a research, how do you have to do, how can you improve your research methodologies. And also without doubt you get much sample size also, and all the resources, all the institutional support you have in the central institutes. And people who are interested in research kind of thing are very apt to take this field. And after the MD courses, like you have a very good job opportunities also. Before that, let me tell some important journals and books available for this. This may be helpful for those people who are new to transfusion medicine, who have already taken. I feel like most of the people are just putting it as an option in NEET and several exams, and after getting it they are like pursuing until or unless they get satisfied, or they get into the field with the idea of coming out if they don't like. So this may be helpful, this video may be helpful for them to know what the field actually is, and it will give them an idea of whether to pursue or not. And here you can see some of the journals and books which are useful for the people pursuing in transfusion medicine. Journals like Vox Sanguinis, FRSS Science, Transfusion Science, Journal of Clinical Hematology, and so on. But these are the main journals, well renowned and most cited journals, I should say, in transfusion medicine. And the books like Harmaning, Rossi's Principles, Mollison's are all good for theoretical knowledge. And considering India, our technical manuals given by our DGHS and Drugs and Cosmetics Act are very helpful to know the criteria and guidelines which our Indian government provides us. And also AABB, it's the like American guidelines actually, but it is very practical and very easy to know the basics. And also you have AABB FRSS, which also gives a good background for FRSS related topics. And there is a book by author Makru, which is actually very simple and very contented, which can be used for the last minute exam revisions. And also this is what the books and related to academics of transfusion medicine. And also people will be very eager to know about the job opportunities after transfusion medicine, because everyone's question mark is that naturally everyone work for our living, and the job opportunities after this transfusion medicine are, you can join as a blood bank medical officer in any medical college or in private blood banks. You can set up your own blood banks, and in the private blood bank you may ask what are the sources of income. It is like for each product you issue to the patients or hospitals or to the companies, like for plasma fractionation, it may be a new term, it is the FFP which you prepare from the whole blood it does not have that much as issue as PRBCs. It is not issued, but its shelf life is 1 year actually. And if it is nearing expiries, you can issue it to the companies who are producing the immunoglobulins or albumin. They use it as a dilution basis for the factors or albumin or immunoglobulin and so on. So you can issue to them also with a good profit, I suppose. And in medical colleges you can join as assistant professors, associates, or HODs according to your like experience in case of state medical colleges and your research papers and your strength in research part in central institutes. You'll be given more preferences in central institutes if you have more research papers. And the salary is the same assistant professor or associate or HOD scale. And there is a good what to tell scope of getting into this post, because now in everywhere or most of the colleges, the pathologists are the HOD in charge. And when transfusion medicine people apply for the post, they will be given preferences. And the salary is a decent salary as usual. And the field is a very peaceful field, because it is only a fixed hours of working. I'm telling all this for MD transfusion medicine people. Very peaceful field, and you have time for your family. You can also have general practices outside as with your MBBS degree, or if you have your own clinic, you will have much time to concentrate on your general practice. And it is a tensionless job, I should say. And also in private institutes, like those institutes dealing with cancer patients, cancer centers, regional cancer centers, and mainly the hemato-oncology centers, they are recruiting hematologists or MD transfusion medicine people with a decent salary of 1.5 lakhs starting price. um, uh, and if you want to if you are feeling that you are doing your course in any state institute, and you do not have much exposure to this cell therapy, HLA typing and those things, no need to worry. You can finish your degree in a state college, and then you can pursue your senior residencyship in any of the central institutes with these options. That may help you. And also you have further study options of fellowship courses, fellowship in clinical hematology in CMC Vellore. It is actually a 2-year course, and you will have a very good exposure to the patients, hematonco patients, all the types of anemias you will be dealing with. And the scope of hematology is like very demanding in India now, and within states you hardly have 2 or 3 hematologists as of now. So you will be having a very good demand after you finish your fellowship. And the senior citizens of transfusion medicine are fighting for the eligibility to get into the DM clinical hematology seat, because as of now only the medicine and pediatrics people, also pathology people, are eligible for DM clinical hematology. But transfusion medicine is more eligible, I should say, for DM clinical hematology, because our topics are very much related to the clinical hematology academics or practice, you can say. So but since the Society of Transfusion Medicine people, the senior citizens, is very less, that's why it's not being heard of. But I'm sure that within 3 to 5 years the DM hematology, clinical hematology, will be open for MD transfusion medicine people. And also DM transplant immunology is another super specialty coming up for MD transfusion medicine people. And regarding the abroad opportunities, after MD, there are various fellowships available in abroad for this stem cell therapy and this bone marrow transplantation kind of things. And if you finish that now, if you will be having a very good demand worldwide. And per case of this bone marrow transplantation and all, per case you will be paid 1.5 to 2 lakhs. But India as a developing country is not affordable to pay that much now. And I should say no institutes are doing it now, and since due to its cost. But I think in future this will be the future of transfusion medicine. And And there is also a very lack of knowledge in transfusion medicine, like various new topics has to be explored even more. And like for example, recently a minor blood group system was found out by an Indian from Kolkata, namely the Indian blood group system. He named it as Indian system of blood group. And like that, many new things has to be explored. Researches are being done in transfusion medicine, and the people in transfusion medicine can contribute a lot to this new inventions. And there is no need of getting depressed of whether it is a non-clinical branch or anything, because it is a clinical branch with non-clinical aspects, I should say. And all the best.